This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our store. We have almost about 82 products to date in our store. Everything from blenders to juicers to rebounders to dual ozone generators to sacred seed oils, organic bedding, EMF defender pad, which allows you to block the EMF from your laptops. We've got grounded bed sheets, the Vitalizer Plus, grounded sandals, one of the most powerful substances you could ever take for your immune system, which is beta-glucan. We've got the best one on the market, beta-1,3-D glucan from Better Way Health. We've got non-toxic chemical-free cookware. We've got raw dog food for your dogs. We've got the biomat, all kinds of real cool stuff in our store. So thank you for checking that out. We're adding new products almost on a weekly basis. We've got the Austin Air Purifier, the Big Berkey water filtration systems, the Excalibur dehydrator, rebounders, protein powders, all the amazing products from Surthrival. We've got some cool stuff. Oh, and our sauna as well. That's in our store too. So thanks for checking that out. Also, we are brought to you by Amazon.com. Thank you guys for your purchases that you make through our Amazon link. Nothing changes for you. So if you simply click our link or bookmark our link and use your bookmark every single time you make a purchase, and help support the show. And nothing changes on your end. The prices are all the same. It's just that we get a little commission for your order. And if you can remember to do that every time you make a purchase, it helps support the show. So we really appreciate that. Thank you guys for your support on Amazon and for looking at the products in our store too. We love you guys, and let's get on with this show. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on episode 488. Can you believe that? 488 of Extreme Health Radio. Thanks, guys, for joining us. And thank you to all you listeners who have been around since the beginning, 2012, when we started this show. It's been so much fun. And we've got a great guest today. We're going to be talking about essential oils today. And should you use them? Why should you use them? What they're all about, how powerful they are, all that good stuff. So we'll be introducing Dr. Eric Z in just a second. I just want to let you guys know we broadcast 3 days a week on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. So if you want to join our newsletter, that would probably be the best way to sign up to our shows. And that you can do actually, you know what? The best way to do it would be to text the word Get Healthy. Text the word Get Healthy to 33444, and you'll be prompted on your cell phone there to follow the steps, and we'll send you an awesome bonus. That's texting the word Get Healthy to 33444. You can sign up to a newsletter and get access to all of our shows, and you'll never miss a show and all that good stuff. So that is a great way to stay on top of everything we have going on here. I hope you guys are enjoying the holiday season, the Christmas season. I hope everything is amazing for you guys. It's a fun time of year, especially when you get to experience Christmas in the Northern Hemisphere where it's nice and cold. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the Christmas season here. Today we've got Dr. Eric Z, and he's a guy that I have known about for some time now, for a few years. Recently got reintroduced to his work through Ty Bollinger's Truth About Cancer series. If you guys are not familiar with that, it's thetruthAboutCancer.com, and you can check more about that. But Dr. Eric Z is he's the founder of drericz.com, as well as the Biblical Health Academy, and he's into a lot of really, really cool things. He's based in Atlanta, Georgia. He works with people and does programs, has a really great website, drericz.com. So thanks, Doc, for being on the show today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me, Justin. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, did I get that correct? Are you in Atlanta, Georgia?
I am. Hotlanta, we call it.
I know, especially in the summer. How's the weather there right now?
Oh, it's overcast and rainy, but at least it's not like back home in Michigan where it's snowy, so I'll deal with it.
Yeah, a little bit better. Are you close to, I believe, a mutual friend of ours, Dr. David Jockers, is out in Atlanta?
Oh, yeah, good friend of mine. David's the reason why I'm actually a chiropractor. One reason why I went to chiropractic college. He literally lives like a mile away from me.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah, close friends of the family, so... yeah, what a small world.
Wow, yeah, he's been on our show a couple times. I love him. He's great.
Oh, yeah, wealth of information. You know, the funny thing about what I present with David presents, he's got this real scientific mind. He's like a steel trap where he's very scientific. All the technical terms are me. I'm like big picture. I'm all about the love. I'm all about the ethos. I'm all about like the application. We really actually complement each other very much in that standpoint.
He's a great guy, and I like the work that he's doing. And so, wow, how cool! You guys are so close. That's great.
Oh yeah.
So we want to talk about essential oils, and we've done a few shows on oils before in the past. But you know what? I want to sort of read this paragraph that I have here from this herbalist I was telling you about before the show, and I wanted to read this paragraph to you because essential oils I think are amazing. I haven't gotten as much into them as I would like, but there's always in this alternative health space, as you know, there's so many different protocols and things to do and to try and to put make a part of your life. But I heard her say this. Her name is Susan Weed, and she said a few years ago, let me read this short little paragraph that she has here. And she's not a fan of essential oils, and she's the only person I've ever heard that has said this. So I'm hoping we can squash this. She says, infused herbal oils are a small amount of plant material. Essential oils require tons of plant material. Infused herbal oils are safe to use internally or externally. Essential oils are poisonous internally and problematic externally. Infused herbal oils are good for the skin. Essential oils can cause rashes, burns, and other skin reactions. Infused oils are full strength. Essential oils are diluted before use. Infused herbal oils have subtle scents. Essential oils have powerful scents. And then finally, she says the scent of an essential oil can kill gut flora just like antibiotics do. Is there any... What do you think is going on with have you ever heard something like that before?
Yeah, the last statement is absolutely false, and that is beyond a shadow of a doubt incorrect. The scent of essential oils does not kill microflora balance, or at least we don't have any proof, and that's become so much of a profound myth in the space that essential oil safety expert Robert Tisserand, who literally wrote the book on safety, he just debunked that. He said, this is ridiculous. I mean, that doesn't even make clinical, anatomical, physiological sense.
Right.
The thing about Susan, I don't know if she's listening or if followers of Susan listen, but she's way out there. She's an instructor of Wise Woman in University, which sounds pretty cool when you look at it, but once you get into it, they teach like tarot card reading and really far out stuff that to me in my world, we're not into that, man. Like, if you look at the course, they talk about things like a course in her, the school that she's part of, they talk about the Green Witch. And And
wow.
I don't want to discredit, but it's really kind of far out there. Like, I don't know, for me, I'm not into tarots, I'm not into witchcraft, I'm not into, moon healing. And I kid you not, like, they actually teach a class on moon healing, just really way, way far extreme stuff. But in her defense, she's not an expert in the space. She's not a scientist. She's not a researcher. She's not a chemist. She knows her herbs. And in her defense, herbal oils, a.k.a. extracts, are fantastically effective, and that's what the ancients used. And so I think it's important to kind of piggyback off of what she shared here and to say true herbal medicine had nothing to do with essential oils like we know them today. And the problem that I have with most essential oil advocates that talk about this in blogs, on documentaries, and about other historical facts is they misspeak. Ancient people didn't use essential oils like we have them today. They didn't even know what they were. They didn't have the distillation processes. They didn't have the filtration technology that we have. They did what Susan is talking about. They had an herbal oil where they basically created an extract. They created an absolute, a salve by applying, like the best example is in the Bible. The best example I know of is the anointing oil. When God told Moses, hey, get a big vat of olive oil, then and forgive me for those people who are, Jewish scholars and about the anointing oil, but like 500, I'm going to misquote, but 500 shekels of myrrh, 300 shekels of cassia, a little bit of calamus, And basically, that process slowly and over time allowed the essential oils to seep through to make a nice, highly diluted essential oil-based product that was very safe and couldn't hurt anyone. They did not have what we have today. No way, shape, or form.
Do you think, Doc, that essential oils, this is a question that I can never seem to come to an answer to, and it concerns something like rose essential oil, for example. It's my understanding that in order to make it's some incredible ratio where 1 drop of essential rose oil is thousands of rose heads, kind of a thing. Now, if someone were to take something that has that much of a ratio to it, is it damaging to the body in any way? Because my thought is even though you would never be able, let's say if people could eat roses, but if people could eat that many roses, that would be toxic, obviously. But if you're ingesting a drop of something like that, has that much dilution, even though it's that concentrated, it's still just a drop, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I love to use rose. 10,000 pounds of rose petals to distill to get 1 pound of rose oil.
10,000 pounds?
So how about this? 105 pounds of rose petals to get you a 5 milliliter bottle. You got 30 pounds of lavender to get you a 15 milliliter bottle. You have, You have 50 lemons to get you a 15 ml bottle. The list goes on. I got a little chart in front of me. 63 pounds of Melissa, which is lemon bulb, to get a 5 milliliter bottle.
Wow.
So in her defense, and again, there's things and this is a good talking point, we shouldn't be slathering ourselves with rose and all these oils like a lot of folks do, because it's quite wasteful. It's actually not sustainable. It's not friendly to the environment. However, we're talking plant-based medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking just simply aromatherapy where, hey, we just want a nice scent. I'm not talking aesthetics. I'm talking people are utilizing essential oils in replacement of or in lieu of medication because the drugs have failed them or they want to go natural.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you need highly concentrated substances that you can manipulate in the way that you feel best, in the way that's safe, under the guidance of either a trained aromatherapist or a natural health care provider or someone that go through one of my courses or some other. You got to get some training, a little, but that's the key here, is that the chemical compounds in the oils, the chemical compounds in these plants are by and large, what chemists use and extract to create drugs. So we're talking drugs here. We're talking, I need a medical intervention. What are you going to take? Something synthetic or something real? But when it comes to it day in, day out, we do not have any reason to believe that safe, proper usages of essential oils, aromatically, topically, or internally, are harmful. And we have seen that throughout the ages. So even Susan, what she said, whether it's a quote herbal oil, which is an extract, or an absolute, or whether it's a straight up essential oil that we know and now love in these little brown bottles, it's the same plant material. It's just a matter of how diluted it is.
Yeah, and I know you and your wife are big fans of diluting it, right, and using it maybe in olive oil or coconut oil or water. But you guys are just really big fans of diluting these oils, right?
Yeah, and just to clarify too, you made a really good point, and not to pick on you, but it's really important because oils and water don't mix. So when someone puts a drop of essential oil into a glass of water, that doesn't do anything to it. At all. If anything, that might cause some esophageal irritation because you think that it's diluted, but you're drinking it, and that's highly concentrated. Essential oils are not made and not designed to consume or to use topically in any way straight, or what we know as neat, N-E-A-T, because they're so volatile, they're so strong, they're so concentrated. You have to dilute them, and that's only safe, that's wise. That's why so many people are hurting themselves. So yeah, again, going in Susan's defense, a lot of people use them carelessly. They apply straight diluted or undiluted oils on themselves, on their children, and that's many people have experienced, unfortunately, what's known as sensitization, which is an allergic type of response where people are becoming sensitized to the essential oils that they're overusing, and people can't use them anymore. It could cause a rash. It could cause an adverse response.
Yeah, I guess it's like one of those things like anything else, right? Where these things are incredibly concentrated and potent and strong. And so, it's just like, a lot of people are saying, you read online about, those, the black salves for, people use for skin cancers and things.
Yes, exactly.
And there's a lot of people saying, well, someone put a black salve on their nose and it ate through their nose. And it's probably because these things are so powerful that you have to be very careful. And so I guess maybe some of what Susan is saying could be true if you use them incorrectly. Oh,
100%.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I'm being trained in aromatherapy, because, Justin, I'm a formerly trained public health researcher. I'm not an essential oil expert. I mean, I'm not a chemist, but I realize what the research has shown about what the research suggests about the essential oil, about the potential of essential oil, the therapeutic effect of essential oils, as with probiotics, as with any other natural therapy, is a far cry to what we see in the clinical setting. And so a lot of people in the blogger sphere misspeak when they're talking about case studies or clinical trials, and they're trying to show, hey, the research shows this. Well, have you seen it in practice? What more do you know about this? How much do you really know about probiotics? You're just going to say, hey, take probiotics. They're good for you. Well, why? We have these blanket statements that at the end of the day, the supplement industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and essential oils are a big part of it.
Yeah,
I wanted to learn more.
Yeah, I love your approach, and you were sharing a little bit about that before we started, and I'm wondering if you can just let people know about your approach, because like everyone knows who is listening to this right now, essential oils are a big deal right now. They're huge. It's a hot topic. But what you were saying before the show was that a lot of people are affiliates or selling these oils or these types of things, and that was one of the areas where you just wanted to be above board, even, go above and beyond what everybody else was doing. So share a little bit about that. I thought that was really cool.
Oh, we're talking public health 101 here, and bias. And I had it beat in me about the problem with statistical bias and about how you need to be as unbiased as possible, and you can't have any sort of kickbacks, and you can't have any sort of anything that could determine your communication in a way that could be frowned upon. And so as a researcher, that's something I've always thought of, and I've always tried to stay above board to. And that really hit home is one, because I used to be a medical writer. It's how when I was going through school, when I was getting my doctorate, I supported my family by writing, and I had a client who commissioned me to write a series of public health reports about oils. And that's what really, about 3 years ago, that's really what got me started in essential oils the way that I have been.
Oh, wow.
And I realized very quickly that virtually every website on the Internet, one person or another, they're always selling an oil one way or another, whether they're a distributor of a multi-level marketing company, whether they're an affiliate for Amazon or another company out there that has affiliate programs. And not that that's a bad thing. Again, bless their heart, everyone needs, and I believe this, everyone needs a fair shake to make money, because I know how expensive it is to run a blog. And what you do, it's not cheap. But when it comes to unbiased source of information, there were none. And so I came out with this essential oil summit last year, and I'm like, you know what, let's talk about essential oils in a non-branded way. And that's where I got people together.
Well, that was really cool. When I first heard about that summit, we promoted it, and a lot of people purchased it. And what I thought was really cool was when I first looked at it, I thought, oh my gosh, okay, how is Eric going to get around this whole thing with people from doTERRA, Young Living, and all the major companies out there that are selling essential oils? And when I found out that you were taking an unbiased approach, I thought that is really cool, because it's so much better when you can be completely out of the game of selling the actual product, and so selling information and instructions and how to apply these oils to your life. that is, I think, much more valuable because people can get the sales pitch really from any Young Living or doTERRA distributor. They can get all that there, you know.
Completely non-branded.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, that was one of the hardest things I've ever done professionally, is how to get someone who has been trained for all these years. They make their living off of selling certain products, certain blends,
mm-hmm.
and to say, hey, we can't use that word here.
Right.
You know, I had to go back and edit every single interview, and people, I was so proud of it. Like, this is completely non-branded. And then from that, people learned. And then we started creating, like, I'm not saying I caused it, but, you know, at the same time we did the summit was the same time the FDA cracked down on the two largest essential oil companies.
Wow.
Because of drug claims based off of the Ebola outbreak. So long story short, Ebola is out there, and bloggers from multi-level marketing companies started to say, hey, essential oils can kill and help with you, kill Ebola virus and help you.
Oh, no.
Well, the FDA said, no, we're not going to allow this, because there were so many reports. Aromatherapists actually filed a petition to the FDA, and they're like, we got to shut this down. People are going to die because of this. They literally shut down websites. The FDA shut down people's websites. They gave cease and desist letters to the largest essential oil companies, said you need to control your distributors.
Wow.
And that was the same time my summit came out. And there was a shift, this paradigm shift of speaking in non-branded, generic terminology. And thankfully, really by the grace of God, I was at the top of the wave there. I was at the curve before it really started. And now it's like normal cause. Most people are used to, they're trained in a way now, especially if you're going to sell an oil, you got to be trained in generic terminology. And I'm trying to even go one step further, is really be non-branded. And so that's what I do still. I don't sell essential oils. I have a thriving essential oil club that people can join. I have my summits. I have my database. I just try to give people information that they don't have to worry. And this is the key, too, because most of the people that follow me are distributors. I'm not a threat. I don't want to be a threat to your downline. I don't want you to think that I'm going to steal your income. And business-wise, that was a really good decision for a lot of folks to say, you know what? Here, go to the summit, go to Dr. Z's world, because now you have a trusted source of info, and they don't have to worry. You know, so anyway, it's been a wild ride, but we're helping a lot of folks. That's the bottom line. We're helping a lot of folks.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that I think is really important, because I hear, you know, there's a lot of people that sell essential oils, and we've been approached from people to represent them, and they you know, want us to be a part of their downline, and I don't like getting involved in multi-level marketing things. I just have something against it. I just don't want to do it. But let me tell you about a little story about something that was really creepy. And it kind of goes along with what you're saying. This was a conversation I was having last, let's see, what's today? Today's Thursday? So it was last weekend. I think it was last Saturday or Sunday. I was speaking to a representative from, I won't even name the company, but it's a company that sells magnetic pulsars and kind of piggybacks off the work of Dr. Bob Beck with magnetic devices and things. And so they were saying to me that they've been sort of watched by the FDA for, I think, about 17 years now, 18 years. And so some of the people that they were selling their instruments to were making claims. And so as a result of that, the FDA shut them down and then threatened to shut the parent company down. And then they were telling me that, now this is crazy. They were telling me that if someone went onto their Facebook page and said, hey, your tool was one of the biggest reasons why I healed from cancer, or your tool healed my cancer, something like that. If they went and made a post on their Facebook page and they clicked like, the FDA could go after them.
It's ridiculous.
Isn't that crazy?
To me, it's crazy that we should, as red-blooded Americans, we should be outraged by that, personally, because I think that's an infringement of our freedom of speech.
It's amazing.
I got to say, I'm on the other end of the spectrum. I love multi-level marketing. I really do. If I could do it and stay unbiased, I would. But I can't. And so I really do. I love the model. I love the purity of the fact that you could own your own business and sell a good product. And so I've seen a really good side of multi-level marketing, but to Sam's standpoint, I've seen the government try to shut us down as a whole. And it doesn't matter this. At the end of the day, and I love to talk about the new FDA ruling about triclosan and antibacterial products because we can't trust the government on any level. we cannot believe that the government has our best interests at heart, especially when it comes to our health. And so whether the FDA cracks down on individual companies or multi-level marketing companies or manufacturers, whatever, they're attacking us one by one by one. And we know this for sure.
So tell me about this ruling. You were mentioning this before the show, too. What is this all about?
Oh, it's craziness. It's craziness that we're even in this situation that the FDA has banned triclosan, triclosan, triclocarbons, and 17 other chemicals that are in antibacterial soaps.
So now these are just chemicals that the soap companies use, and they're just standard for all antibacterial soaps.
If I got a minute, can I give I think this is important enough. If I could give like a history lesson here.
Yeah, please.
You have a minute? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's go back to 1949. Dial soap. Dial soap came out with a product called, Dial soap, hand soap, and they had a solution for people. You could keep your hands clean, keep your body clean, and also we're going to kill germs that make you smell. It's essentially a deodorant. It's essentially what they propose as a natural way of smelling good and killing off the germs. Antibacterial wasn't even a name really back then. So they came out with this great product that everyone loved. Well, they had a chemical in it called hexachlorophene.
Okay.
No one knew anything about hexachlorophene. It was a chemical. Well, it was pretty popular, very effective at killing, quote, germs. Again, the whole germ theory. We could talk about that, too. Well, fast forward about 20 years. And in that time frame, hexachlorophene got into all kinds of different products. Cosmetics was a $250 million industry. Back then, it was a lot. Cosmetic industry started using hexachlorophene because of the germ-fighting ability, exceptionally helped with shelf life. Talc powder companies started to use hexachlorophene, just all kinds of different companies.
Wow.
Cleaning supplies, most hospitals were being cleaned by chemicals. most hospitals were being cleaned by solutions that had hexachlorophene in it. Well, in 1971. In 1971, in France and in U.S., there were two separate cases of babies being killed by the inhalation of a talc powder that contained hexachlorophene. 39 infants died in France, and 15 infants died in the United States because they inhaled talc powder that had hexachlorophene in it.
Wow.
Well, they did an investigation, and they knew hexachlorophene was a neurotoxin. It caused brain damage, and it caused these babies to die. So the FDA banned it. The FDA banned hexachlorophene in 1971.
Now, Doc, was this going on in, you said France?
Yeah, France had a case. And, you could do a Google search. Type it up, because I saw the article in the Chicago Tribune announcing this. It's wild. Like, this is well known. Just type up, French babies die, hexachlorophene, and see what comes up. But, in France, 39 infants died. In the United States, around the same time, in the early 70s, like 1970, 1971, 15 United States, U.S. babies died as well. So the FDA banned it. Okay, the FDA banned hexachlorophene. Shortly thereafter, there became a staph outbreak in hospitals around the country.
Oh, wow.
Because the cleaning solutions without hexachlorophene couldn't kill the bugs that were out there. Essentially, they created superbugs. You know how we have antibiotic-resistant bacteria right now?
Right.
Yeah, they had like hexachlorophene-resistant bacteria back then. So they needed to come up with a stronger chemical. Well, that's where triclosan came in. Triclosan was a registered pesticide in 1969. Effective, highly effective, and it's an exceptionally great antibacterial agent. I should say great, exceptionally effective antibacterial agent. Well, now triclosan became the new superpower. So all these hand soaps and all these cleaning solutions started containing triclosan. In 1971, well, the FDA just banned it because it's a known thyroid hormone disruptor. It's a known carcinogen. It could cause neurocognitive disorders. People have been using it on their skin for 40 years. It's in virtually every one of your antibacterial products, whether it's hand sanitizer, soaps, lotions, potions, whatever it is.
Wow, Doc, it says here on Google, it says it's in toothpaste, detergents, toys, surgical cleaning treatments.
Yep.
My
and
goodness.
Guess what?
Wow.
It's only banned in hand soap. Why? God only knows for right now. The FDA has only banned it in hand soap, and they've given manufacturers in September 2016, the FDA gave manufacturers 1 year to get triclosan, triclocarbon, and 17 other chemicals out of the solution, out of the products on the shelf. So, guess what? For the next year, people are still going to get poisoned with a known thyroid hormone disruptor, with a known carcinogen for the next year. And I guess here's the takeaway, folks. Please, if you're listening, look at the trend. Just like how the government allowed hexachlorophene to be replaced with triclosan, I promise you this, and I don't make promises lightly, I promise you this, you can't trust the next solution.
Well, you know, one of those great quotes I always hear is, you know, every drug that has been recalled was once approved by the FDA, you know, and so, you know, and as far as I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't the FDA originally set up to regulate interstate commerce of products going from state to state?
That I do not know.
Is that
actually? Yeah. I do believe. I remember. I forget. The FDA does have a very. I thought it was more natural. I thought actually the FDA had very holistic, natural roots.
Yeah, maybe they do. I don't remember that.
And then it got corrupted.
Yeah.
Big Pharma. From what I remember, looking at the brief history of the FDA, this was a year or two ago. I did more FDA research because, again, this shocked me. Like, are you kidding me? Everything. So I looked at FDA really was, at one point, I think, like most things, created to be pure, created to be good, and then it just got corrupted. Greed, money. It's just hard. It's hard to stay above reproach nowadays. It really is.
You know, Doc, it's so apropos, I should say, that model won out. Like you mentioned it a little while ago, the germ theory. Gosh, if that model hadn't won out, I mean, everything would be so different. But because it did, you can make an antibiotic for everything, and you can demonize every little germ and every little bacteria. And gosh, I mean, talk about a money-making model that won out, right?
It's fear. It's unbelievable. It's fear-mongering, and I was a victim of it, and I use that word very carefully, but we have all been victims of misinformation. I just was interviewed recently for a podcast, and the question that the interviewer always asks her guests is like, what do you think is the number one biggest issue in the health world right now? And my answer was misinformation. Everything, whether it's gluten, whether it's oils, whether it's chemicals, whatever, we've just been poured out. And the problem is we have so much at our disposal, information overload, where we've created the perfect storm, where it's virtually impossible to find information consistently that's accurate.
Yeah,
it's so hard.
And like what you're saying, unbiased too. I mean, I'm so glad you went that way because you know, it's just really, really challenging. I mean, we are affiliates of Amazon, and we're affiliates of Mountain Rose Herbs. If people wanted to go buy essential oils from Mountain Rose Herbs, they could do it. But I don't, you know, if people want to sort of go through our link to do that, that's fine. But I don't say, you know, make claims. And I just think it's really cool the way you are above board. Cause I think moving into the future, I think where we need to focus our attention and our time on is selling information and how to integrate these things into our lives and protocols and helping people and the actual products themselves are going to be, I think, more and more difficult to sell personally.
And, you know, I actually consulted multiple lawyers on this, too. And for those of you out there listening, and I know a lot of you out there are bloggers or you're distributors and you might be healthcare professionals, if you sell a product, you can, whatever it is, a probiotic, if it's any kind of supplement, anything, you cannot make any sort of disease-related claim to it. You can't even say, hey, my probiotic helped me with leaky gut. That's illegal. Like, the FDA can shut you down. And the only way of staying above that reproach, and to me it's more protection, the only way to truly enjoy our First Amendment right of freedom of speech is to not sell a product. And so that way, if the FDA wants to shut me down, because I'm talking, like, I can literally tell you, Justin, the research has shown essential oils can kill cancer cells in vitro clinical trials. Well, if I'm selling an essential oil, now that's a drug claim because I'm making it seem like essential oils are drugs, and if I'm selling the drugs, that's illegal. I'm selling the chemicals that could be a drug, essential oils. So basically, the only way of having freedom of speech right now is not being able to sell the actual product. And so it's tough.
Yeah.
It's really, really tough. Or you have to say cellular function or respiratory support. That's tough. I don't want to have my freedom of speech restricted like that.
Well, you know what, Doc? It's I have to say I'm so happy for people like you and you that are doing this, because think about this. If we weren't able to have access to information that actually tells the truth, the people that are selling the actual drugs or healing devices or whatever it is, not drugs, but supplements and things, and minerals, vitamins, the people that are selling those can never speak, they have to speak in sort of this code double speak. So if it weren't for people like you, we would never know what these things can do.
Yeah. And it's funny because I did a recent little survey on my Essential Oil Club. I created an inner circle that people can join, for a monthly or a quarterly or a yearly membership. I asked them, how many of you are builders, and how many of you want actually good builder information, how to build a business? And I can't tell you the resounding amount of people that just rose their hand because they're struggling. It's a struggle out there to sell these products and to talk in a non-branded, generic way. And that's something we got to get back to. Like, how do I talk in a non-branded, generic way so I can make a living, sell a product? So yeah, it's wild. My little club is morphing into something I wasn't anticipating, but it's fun. I'm going with the flow. It's exciting. It really is. Yeah,
Doc, tell me about that, because when your summit came out, Essential Oils Summit, when it came out, I thought to myself, okay, this is what I need, because I know about essential oils and I've heard people make extraordinary claims, and but I don't know where to start. And when that summit came out, I thought, okay, now this is really cool, because this is a situation where I can actually learn how to integrate these things into my life. And so tell people about what your membership site is and what they'll get there, because that sounds like something that would interest me, and I'm sure all of our listeners.
So 3 years now between I don't know how many I have. I think 100 different expert interviews, over 100 articles on individual oils, 50 different reports on how to use oils for various issues, health complaints, diseases, DIY stuff. I just amassed an unbelievable volume of information just because I've been doing it so much the last few years. And so what I've done was I've created a database, and it helps people learn and to use every oil that I can, it's growing, but a bunch of different oils, everything from arnica to cannabis to vetiver to neroli, all sorts of different oils. And I've created a membership that people can join for free. You join for free, you get your own password-protected access to this sweet little database that will show you not only that, but all the DIY recipes and everything else. And that's a good way for a lot of folks to get started. Yet more noticing want more. More people have asked me, we want more. We want this. We are hungry. Feed us, essentially. It's like, wow, this is wild. So I've created an inner circle, and I've given people access to all of my ebooks, all of the books I've written, all of the interviews. So for the people that have listened to my Essential Oil Revolution 1 or number 2 Summit, you get access to all of those interviews, all of the videos I do with my wife on how to DIY. We do a monthly Q&A. Our Facebook community is awesome. Just people helping each other in a very, very non-biased, of course, non-biased, but non-branded way where we're saying, hey, I have a fungal infection. What are you guys doing? And then people are just helping. Hey, I'm using melaleuca, or I'm using oregano. And they share and they help. It's such a blessing to see this morph into what it is. And we literally just opened it up right before Black Friday, and we have nearly 700 people that are members of the Inner Circle. How many total? We have like 150,000 people that are part of the free membership.
Wow.
And it's just growing, and I'm just so excited to be at the helm. Because, again, one thing I don't claim is I don't claim to be the essential oil expert. I'm not. I'm pretty good at research, and I'm pretty good at combining information and bringing the true experts around and communicating in a way that people get and understand. that, again, is very unbiased, non-branded.
Mm-hmm. Now, you have also Heal Your Gut membership as well. Is that separate? Or is that part of it?
I co-hosted that Heal Your Gut Summit with Dr. Josh Axe and Donna Gates from Body Ecology.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of the typical, telesummit documentary type of things. That's also if people want. Now, that's a separate product. But, that's a great tool for people if they really want to focus on gut health. My expert talk was about how to use essential oils with gut health to combat issues like leaky gut, IBS, Crohn's, that sort of thing. But there's a lot, and we just started. We just really hit the tip of the iceberg here. At the end of the day, here's the thing. We need to learn to use natural therapy safely and effectively, and that's what I want to bring people back to, because I've seen as many people hurt themselves as I am help themselves in one way or another. And so you could overdo it. People have killed themselves by drinking too much water. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's such a thing. You like, if we just talked, you just had a bunch of water before you got on this call.
Yeah.
We got to be wise and not, in me, I fall, and this is one thing, please, if every one of you listening gets one thing from this talk, more does not mean better.
Uh-huh.
And I'm of the mindset, I've always been, just how my nature is. Hey, if one's good, 10's more. 10's better.
I know. That's how I think, too, the same way.
And especially with natural therapies, it's about honoring and respecting your God-given biochemical individuality, which means what's working for me is not necessarily going to work for a 70-year-old female African-American. We're just different.
Right.
Our genetics are different. Our ancestry is different. So I got to say, it bothers me when I hear, hey, everyone should be paleo, or everyone should be gluten-free, or everyone should do... No, says who? I do believe that everyone's life can be enhanced by essential oils specifically, but how does that work? You got to figure it out. And it dawned on me. The chiropractor practices chiropractic. The medical doctor practices medicine. They practice. I want to help people practice essential oils. It's trial and error, folks. There's no magic bullet. And once you figure out what works for you, that is true empowerment. And next thing you know, your son or daughter gets a 104 temperature, and you're not running to the hospital. You're taking care of it at home like we always did up until we became enabled by the system. And that's the end of the day, bottom line. What I'm trying to do is help people regain control of their life again and not get stuck until, hey, the government runs everything. They run my food, they run my health care, they run everything. No, we can handle things ourselves. We have that ability.
Yeah, that's the biggest takeaway, I think. What we're saying is that it's just so important to invest in your health and invest in learning how your body works and how you can heal yourself, because there's nothing worse than getting a diagnosis. How many times, Doc, have you seen, and I've seen it in my own life too, with people that are 70, 60, 50 years old, and they get a diagnosis, and they just, they come to you or they come to me, and I tell them things, but it's the first time they've ever heard about it, and they're scared to death because of the diagnosis the doctor gave them, and they have no idea. They'd never even really heard of organic food. They never really heard of any of these things we're talking about. And so if you, like you said, you practice these things and you slowly chip away at learning more and integrating these things into your life daily, over the course of many, many years and decades, you're going to be an expert in these things. And if something ever, God forbid, were to happen like that, then you have a whole tool chest right there for you in your own knowledge bank,
One of my favorite people I've ever interviewed is Joette Calabrese, and she's a mid-60 Sicilian woman who's a homeopathic physician, and I love Joette. She's in all of my summits. We really connect. Hey, I'm Sicilian too, so she reminds me a lot of my family members. So the thing about Joette is she is very firm on this. And she said and I'm quoting her, because if I say it, I would, I'm now a feminist and I'm going to get hard fed her for hate speech. But she said the reason we are in the situation that we're in, the reason we are in a healthcare situation crisis, is because moms stopped taking care of the families and they gave the responsibility over the doctors.
Amen.
And here's something that's interesting. And I'm telling you, women and men out there, I've learned I have a significant deficiency when it comes to just instinct, when it comes to intuition, and just the ability to manage 4 children and a multitask, let alone to care for them.
Mm-hmm.
I thrive in other areas, and I believe God's given women an unbelievable, amazing ability to care and to nurture. Again, I don't have the plumbing to breastfeed. My wife does. I mean, there's something about evolutionarily speaking. So Joette is really trying to empower women to take control back. And she goes, Eric, when you got sick, what did you do? You used to go to Grandma's house, and Grandma would take care of you. That's how it was. Nowadays, you go to sick, you go to the doctor. And they don't know. They don't know what they're doing, and that's what it boils down to. She raised her children. She never brought them to the pediatrician once. I'm not condoning that, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's really great.
We could do this, folks. We could do this. And to me, men need to step up. And I think this is where guys need to step up and, support our wives, support them financially, emotionally, any way we can, help them. Because a lot of wives, a lot of women, a lot of mothers have to work, unfortunately. To me, unfortunately, instead of raising their children, which I think is a great, awesome gift, because they're forced to. A lot of women are doing it because they don't want to, but some want to, and that's cool. But I think there is something about we need to give women their space to really fall into being the nurturer and the healer of the home. And I feel as a man, my job is to support.
Yeah, that's so true. And that's what's so challenging about today's culture is that we have so much debt and so much inability to have the time, and not just the time, but the energy to be able to say, you know what, let's start making these protocols. Let's start making sort of like, when families used to have recipe books that would stay in the family for decades,
Yeah.
There should be these, protocol books that, get passed down to your families that use these ancient medicines that God's given us. And then if we have to go to the doctor, then we do that. But at least we have these time-tested, God-given essential oils and other herbs and things like that to help heal our families.
Here's another interesting fact that I guess I just want to sell my point with this. This is my last sales pitch for everything about this. This is statistically across the board. I'm very blessed with knowing a lot of the main bloggers and the websites out there. We're talking the largest natural health websites on the planet, and all of us are the same. 75 to 80% of our readership are women. Period. And that lets me know, again, that instinct. Why is it the wife? Why is it the mother? Why is it the woman, the partner? Why is it them trying to get the stubborn male to step up, to go to the doctor, or to take a vitamin, or to use an oil? It's always been that battle. It's always been that battle, and I want men to step up and say, look, I need to take care of myself too. And I just tell you, it's very, very encouraging. So I want to thank you, women, if you're listening. Thank you for listening. Thank you for taking this seriously, because even listening to this right now is the first step and a continuing step to being the healer of the home. But I'm telling you, it is definitely an instinctual for women to take this role.
I agree. And I think we've been robbed. I feel like it's been demonized. Women that want to stay home and want to take care of the kids and things like that. That's sort of in the public, that's sort of looked down upon, especially in media and things. And I don't know what happened. I don't know why that's such a bad thing. I think that's, ultimately the breakdown of the family is caused because we're, both parties have to work these days. And if a woman wants to work or wants to stay home, it's demonized. And I think we need to return to that to some degree, based, obviously on a per family basis and per person basis. But I think the idea generally of having someone stay home and be the healer and be the nurturer and things, I think that's just awesome.
You know what? I'll say this too. It broke my heart when I heard a friend of the family who recently had babies say how unfulfilled she was, and about how she looked at other women who were working and said, "Well, what do I do for a living?
Wow.
What's my significance?" I've listened to more women than I would like to, because it just breaks my heart not find fulfillment and purpose in raising children. And this woman, my friend, said to me, well, I can't wait till I could figure out something to really do and to focus on. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're shaping the future of the world. Your son, your daughter could be the next president of the United States. We have completely, and I see it more than ever, because I got to say, my mom did a good job, but I'm also too. I'm a victim of an abusive household, and I've seen how people can come out. You know, my mom did the best she could, and if she's listening right now, I love you, Mom. I know you did the best because she came up with a really hard childhood, and my childhood was kind of rough. I've seen how a childhood, how raising can shape an individual. And most successful, I'm guaranteed, every successful person that we see, unbelievably successful people, they had a strong mother in the background. You just see it. You always see it. Of course, people overcame. But man, oh man, I just hope and pray that women find true fulfillment. And if they can't afford it, I plead with you, consider staying home. Help at least during the formative years because, oh, what an awesome privilege. What a blessing. And what an important job. It really is. It's to me, the most important job on the planet. Because what we see is as people don't raise their kids, they let daycare and they let other organizations raise their children, we lose something. And I don't know, I see a crisis. I see a crisis in our youth. I see a crisis in our health. And I believe a lot of it, James Dobson, I hear him, all starts in the family. I do believe we could do this together. And anyway, that's a whole other topic for a whole other day. But I will tell you, I feel very fortunate. But, you know, we're doing pretty well right now financially, but when we weren't doing well financially, it was a hard decision for my wife to stop working, to stay at home with our first child, Esther, 8 years ago, and it was a huge burden financially, but we made it work. And I'll never regret that.
Yeah, I know.
I'll never regret, because she was making good money when I met her, and it was like, whoa, that's a huge part of our income gone, but man, I look at our daughter, I'm like, praise God, it was worth it.
I know, right? And she's going to look back at those times when Mom was there, and she's going to remember those times when she got home from school and Mom was there and all of that. And I remember those times as well. And, you know, what a difference it makes.
Yeah. Who would have thought? Essential oils.
I know, right? I know, it's great, but that's the great thing about the health field is essential oils, you know, many people might be listening to this who are unfamiliar with your work. They might think, oh, wow, you know, you're the essential oil guy. But I mean, essential oils is just a part of what you do. But I have to say, your database here, I'm taking a look at it right now. You've got all kinds of stuff on Alzheimer's, anti-aging, anxiety, aromatherapy. Let me just read a couple of these. Arthritis, body care. You have 3 protocols on cancer, carrier oils, choosing brands. I haven't gone into that one. I bet that one's interesting. Culinary uses, detoxification, diabetes. You got 2-part diabetes one. That looks pretty good. DIY cologne, DIY diffuser blends. You have, I mean, this database you have, did I hear you mention that it's the largest database of essential oils?
As far as I know, when you include the DIY piece, because there's a whole another tab that gives you, I think, 70 at this point, DIY recipes. I mean, it's one of the largest, and the largest non-branded database of its kind on the internet. And it's just something I just focused on. I just put all my heart into it, and it's growing. And I have a whole series of articles coming out for children's health and for women's health, like PMS and menopause and hormones. And that's going to be specifically for club members because, you know, I want to bless people. I want to help people. So, yeah, the database is changing a little bit. We're tweaking it. But, yeah, I'm really encouraging people to join the tribe, to show a little commitment and support, join the newsletter, to get educated. Because that's one thing I want to do. And I have a very devoted following on my newsletter every week that people get. But I educate, I help, I walk people through. Because one thing I notice when people go to the database, they just get overwhelmed. They're like, where do I start? Well, sign up. I'll walk you through it. I'll show you how to use oils every day, how to take step by step, how to use them safely and effectively. So, yeah, that's what it's about. It's about really nurturing that along.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm looking at here, for those that are listening, a lot of people listen as they drive and as they, you know, do their workouts and things. But, I mean, you have a whole gut health thing. You've got Lyme disease, libido. This is interesting. Internal use. I've always wondered, okay, which essential oils can I use internally? But this information I'm reading from right now, is all free. But then when you go into your membership area, you have people sharing. Is there a form in there, or how do people communicate inside the members area?
Oh, you know what? We actually decided to take it to Facebook because 2 billion people are on Facebook at this point. It's just the most, in my opinion, one of the most effective ways of communicating with the least amount of tech glitches. And so we have a private Facebook community
Oh, cool.
that I think right now is 500 people strong, just on Facebook, and that's the way that they're communicating that way. But yeah, once you're an inner circle member of the club, that's when you can get access to that, and that's really where the rubber meets the road. We're putting together so many different PDFs and guides and little fun stuff. I just want to give value to people and to really give them what they need so they can continue.
Before we leave, because I know you've got a lot to get to, and I know you're working on a book and all kinds of really cool things. But before we leave, could you just name a couple of the maybe main essential oils, let's say for something like cancer? And again, I just want, in case of, I'm sort of future proofing language here. We are not saying that essential oils can cure cancer, can do anything to cancer. I just want to make that disclaimer because God only knows what kind of how they're going to legalize language, 5-10 years into the future. So I just want to say that. But what are some of the essential oils that you would use for cancer?
Well, the thing about it is we need to look at what are we trying to accomplish. And to me, when we look at a complex disease like cancer, we have to look at it holistically. And one thing I've found is that cancer patients battle a significant amount of signs and symptoms that are related to the cancer. And to me, that would be the first approach, is if you're a cancer patient and if you're battling insomnia, if you're a cancer patient, you're battling low libido, if you're a cancer patient, you're battling X, Y, and Z, I would start to tackle the symptoms first. And that's where good education and taking it step by step is just a fantastic way of going about it. I think people get the wrong, and I want to be careful with this because there's a myth out there and there's a slogan that's very popular. It says there's an oil for that. No, there's no such thing. If there were an oil for that, if there were a solution, we wouldn't be sick. We wouldn't have disease. It's really about being strategic and finding what works for you. And symptom-based management, essential oils, in my opinion, are second to none. Now, when it comes to the cancer itself, there's so many reports out there about so many different things, and frankincense is always the most popular talked about, not because it's the most effective, clinically speaking. Myrrh is actually more effective, clinically speaking. But frankincense is just popular because it's just, think of it, gold, frankincense, and myrrh. It's part of the Magi story because of really a very large multi-level marketing company pumped out a couple research papers that got published in peer-reviewed journals that showed how frankincense can kill cancer cells in petri dishes. So that came out there. And so it's really good marketing, but it works. I know people that claim frankincense cured them of brain tumors. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I think it's not. And here's the thing. I think it's a very dangerous trap to fall in and say, oh, this is the oil that everyone else used. Let me use it, because I find people they get disenchanted when it doesn't get the same result as someone else, or they don't have a desired result. And that's what's important. So what's really important is when you look at my essential oil protocol for cancer patients, I list like 20 different oils that say, hey, here's what the research shares about cancer and about essential oils. You might want to look at clary sage or oregano or black pepper, or I list a bunch and say, you got to find what works for you. And that's hard for some people because they want me to give them a recipe or protocol, just like how they want to go to the doctor to get a shiny pill called an antibiotic. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. It's not going to work. So anyway, didn't answer it directly. I'm sorry, but it's the best answer I could come up with because we got to find what works for us. So there are a lot of different oils that can help. And I'll end with this. And I think this is super important. When it comes to what oil should I use for this, I think that's a trap. Again, I think that's a trap. And remember this. Indigenous people, tribal cultures, before the advent of mass travel and the internet, go 500-600 years ago, 1,000 years ago. When you look at Australian people, the Aborigines, they have eucalyptus and tea tree growing in abundance. When you look at their ancient medicinal practices, what do you think they used for everything? Tea tree, tea tree or eucalyptus. When you go to India, what do you think they use for virtually everything? Ayurvedic medicine has dozens of uses for lemon, because there's lemon growing in abundance. When you go to the Pacific Northwest, like modern-day Washington or Oregon, they use peppermint for everything. Why? Because there's peppermint in abundance. So what the bottom line is this: many of the oils have the same effect as each other, And local indigenous people use them because that's what was in their backyard. I think we kind of got to get in that mindset, is think about what's in my backyard, what can I use, and not fall into the trap of, oh, everyone let's go to frankincense and let's go to Somalia, because not many people had access to frankincense. So anyway, just some food for thought.
Yeah.
There's more than one way of painting a wall, and always remember that. There's more than one way of approaching a condition.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying is so apropos because, like the ancient Chinese as well. I mean, they're cooking all of their food with goji berries and reishi mushroom, and it's part of everything they do. And, it's like that old saying that, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And when you start learning about essential oils or mushrooms or these types of plant substances, I think it's really important to start utilizing these things in our cooking, in our daily life, and having these medicines be a part of what we're consuming on a regular basis. And then hopefully, that's the whole idea behind tonic herbalism is hopefully you'll never need to have a crisis and have to have some sort of really intense protocol be used, because you're using these medicines every single day. And that's where the education comes in, because you have to learn which ones do what and how to use them and how to DIY, how to cook with them. And that's what's cool about your membership, is that it's just so awesome. I'm just so happy. And so, I don't know, it's just so cool that we live in a world where, stuff like this is available for us, because if this were even 1980, we couldn't, it would be almost impossible to get the amount of information that you guys are sharing in your membership website, from a book in 1980. It would be so challenging. And now we can just learn about this all in our own home. It's just awesome.
It's very empowering. And folks, remember where you live, and remember where your ancestry is from. Because, Justin, you make a good point with the goji berries, because guess what the new super antioxidant superfood is? Goji berries. Everyone's going out to eat goji berries. But, if you don't have an ancestral line, and I can't prove this, but I'm very suspect of this, if you don't have an ancestral line of your ancestors eating goji berries for 5,000-6,000 years, maybe it's not going to work for you like it would work for someone else. I think we need to keep in mind, where are we from?
Yeah.
What did people, because that to me is true evolution. Not that we were evolved out of amoebas and monkeys, but that our bodies adapt to the environment. And I'm from Sicily and from Poland. My ancestry is split. So anyway, I find myself doing very good with gluten. I do. I thrive on grains. For me to say everyone needs to go grain free for the rest of their life, I don't think that's wise. I mean, but if your ancestry is from an area where they didn't have grains and now you're on this non-ancestral diet, well, that could affect you. So same thing with oil. If you're Haitian, well, chances are vetiver, which grows in abundance, is really going to do well for you, because your ancestors have used that since, as far as I know, the beginning of time.
Yeah.
So, anyway, keep these things in mind. I think it's really fun. It gets exciting. You could do a family tree. You could do an essential oil tree based off of your lineage. I mean, let's crack the code together.
Yeah, good stuff. Doc, thanks for spending some time with us. Sorry about the weird technical issues at the beginning of the show, but thanks for spending some time with us.
Oh, thank you. It's been a privilege, and I really appreciate the work that you're doing. And everyone, thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah, and one final thing, Doc. I wanted to see if you wanted to let anybody know about any of the upcoming. Are you doing an Essential Oil Summit 3? And I think before the show you mentioned a book coming out. What do you have in the pipeline for you?
At this point, I'm coming out with a series of e-courses. I'm really ramping up my membership, and people can check that out. EssentialOilsClub.info. You can always check out my website at drericz.com. And just please, folks, join my newsletter, because you're going to know what's up. I have a book coming out with a major publisher. I can't announce it yet because they asked me to wait. That's going to be coming out February 2018. And just so many things coming up. I'm starting to work on a documentary that's going to go with the book, and just a lot of fun information coming out with oils.
Oh, that is so cool. Yeah, I just pulled up EssentialOilsClub.info. Yeah, probably the best way, I think, for people would be to sign up to your newsletter list, because you have a lot of different things going on, a lot of irons in the fire, and so you let everyone know on your email list about everything, right?
Yeah, I walk them through. Like this week, I'm actually doing a special web class for my inner circle on infection and essential oils. I have one that people might want. I don't know when this is going to come out, but I do like holiday things, like give the gift of health. Oh, that's a popular one. Like instead of giving someone a holiday present that might be not so healthy for them, why not make why not make a soap bar or a hand salve or something really from the heart, decorate it with a pretty bow and give them the gift of life,
That's cool.
So that's really what I'm encouraging people to do this year. Because I don't know about you, Justin, but when I get a handwritten card, it touches my heart. When my friend made me a bowl that he carved out of wood.
Isn't that cool?
That's on my centerpiece. I'm telling you, it's not the best looking bowl in the world. I could definitely get better looking bowls at Bed Bath & Beyond, but this touched my heart. Like, dude spent hours on this, and he gave it to me. I'm like, man, thanks so much, bro. It touched my heart.
It's like going back to the old ways, right?
I love it. Seriously. Anyway, oh man, I love it. We could talk all day. I hope we could get together again and let's really hone in on some other topics if you want to talk about whatever, but I'm at your disposal, my friend. Thanks again for all that you're doing.
Oh yeah, excellent. Awesome. Thanks. Hang on the line there, Doc, really quickly, and I'll close out the show. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Let me make sure that I get the actual show number correct. So yes, okay, so it is episode 488. So if you want to listen to this show on our website and grab any of the links, it is going to be extremehealthradio.com/488. And that is the corresponding website for this particular show. And yeah, I would highly encourage you guys, go over and check out essentialoilsclub.info. And this is one of the cool things about this a website like this, is that it's educating you to essentially take back your power. And like Dr. Z was saying, we don't want to be handing every aspect, every sort of area of our life. We don't want to be handing that off to other people, institutions, governments, and things like that. We want to be able to take control of our own life and our own health. So check out, essentialoilsclub.info, and then Dr. Z's website is drzz.com. Is that correct? Let me make sure I get that correct. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. Dr. D-R-E-R-I-C, drericz.com. So make sure to check that out. All right, guys. Love you guys. Thank you guys for being on the show. If you enjoyed the show, pass it on your friend. The doc and I would greatly appreciate that. And your friend would as well if they're interested in things like essential oils and things. And also, just remember, too, Dr. Eric Z, essential oils is a part of what he does. So we didn't ask him on the show, but maybe he does. Maybe you could visit his website. I'm not sure if he does consultations or anything like that, but just understand that essential oils is just a small part of what he's doing. So he's got lots of stuff going on. So make sure to check out his website. We love you. Catch you guys on the next episode. All right, there you go. Episode 488, Dr. Eric Zielinski, drericz.com. What did you guys think about him? I thought he was a really interesting guy. I like the work he's doing. It's cool. It's cool. I was listening to the show. I was listening to him speak, and I just think it's so... I'm just kind of just blown away in today's culture, today's era, that we get to live, that we get to be able to have access to this kind of stuff. Because think about, back in the 80s when I was a kid, or 70s, or even 90s, early 90s even. If you wanted to have access to information that would teach you about how to use essential oils, I mean, the amount of work it would take on your part in order to go get that information and then apply it to your life was just so monumental. Think about that. Think about if you wanted to learn how to use essential oils back in 1985. I mean, you could do it. You could go to a library, wait 2 weeks for an interlibrary loan, get your book, and then you got a book in front of you, and you got to go buy the herbs, and you're not sure where to buy them, or buy the oils, or whatever it is. And then... golly, life was just so much more challenging back then. And to think that people actually were able to get anything done and to be able to do these things, I just think is amazing. And how rad is it? I mean, I just find that it's so, I'm just constantly, I don't know, I just live in a world, or I guess in my own mind and in my own head, where I'm just so every day blown away by what we get to have access to. The fact that you can I was talking with my parents about this the other day. We're talking about technology and the amount of technological advancement that has happened, not just from when I was a kid, from 1980 till now, but when they were a kid. So we're comparing ourselves, like me as a 10-year-old person, little boy, and then them as a 10-year-old little boy or girl. And the amount of increase in technology is just so profound. And we were just discussing how technology is affecting our lives. And to be able, I think, just to be able to go online and to take courses and take programs and to, I mean, basically like all the summits that we promote, if you're a follower in our newsletter, anytime there's a brand new summit that comes out, we tell you about it and you can sign up and register for free. And you get access to this free information of speakers that are talking about particular topics. So, you know, I think personally, traditional schooling is going to eventually go away. That's just my own personal thought. Because why do we need that when we can do everything online these days? And now a lot of people might say, well, you know, kids need to interact with one another and blah, 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 which I don't necessarily agree with. I don't think kids need to be interacting with each other in the way, socially, in the way that everyone thinks they do. Think about a, you know, average 40-year-old person. How many other 40-year-olds do they interact with on a daily basis? Not 45-year-olds or not 35-year-olds, but 40-year-olds, because that's what schools are with kids. They're all the same age, unless they're different classes, you know. And but I don't know. I just don't think that it's all that necessary for school. If you want to listen to a really cool interview we actually did a couple years ago on unschooling, you can listen to it. You can go to our show archives, and if you search, what I like to do is just type in like our website name into Google, Extreme Health Radio, and then do a space. Don't put the .com in there, and then do a space, and then type in the subject matter like unschooling. And we did a show, I think it was either 80 or 85 with Dana Martin, and she talked about unschooling. And that's a very popular kind of topic going on these days. And which, by the way, if you're interested in the education system, the roots of our education system, and how our education system started, who funded it, if you're interested in the nefarious sort of, oh gosh, how do you say this? Ideas behind the educational system that you're not going to get when you go to school. They're not going to teach you these things because they're part of it. Let me pull this up really quickly. There's a 5-hour interview that a friend of ours and guest, Adam Bergstrom. Let me go to our website. Adam Bergstrom sent me this video, and it was so funny because after the show, or maybe it was before the last show we did with Adam, we did a show with him, and I told him that I'd watch that video. It's like a 5-hour, 45-minute video about the education system with a really, probably one of the most fascinating people I've ever heard, John Taylor Gatto. John Taylor Gatto, Gatto. And that is episode 485. So if you go to extremehealthradio.com/485, you can listen to a 5-hour interview with John Taylor Gatto, New York School Teacher of the Year. He's about 80 years old now, written multiple books like The Underground Education, all kinds of really, really interesting books. And so I put that because we did a show with T. Matthew Phillips about suing the state of California, SB 277, requiring children to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated with all the vaccines before they attend school. And so I figured it was apropos to put that video interview. Anyway, I watched that interview about 4 or 5 times on whenever I watch long interviews, I always do like as long as the pace of the people speaking are at a pace that isn't, you know, like they're not naturally fast talkers. If they're just normal, they speak normally. I'll usually watch it on 1.5 speed on YouTube. And I do that while I sit in our sauna. Cause when I sit in the sauna, I like to watch documentaries and stuff like that. And so I told Adam this, and he was just blown away that I'd watched it. Not only did I watch it 4 times, but just that I watched it at all, because he says, you know, most people that I send these videos to or links to, they don't watch or listen or anything like that. So I was like, yeah, Adam, of course I watched it. And so anyway, the schooling system, if you want to learn all about the schooling system and how it started by a fascinating guy, John Taylor Gatto, go to extremehealthradio.com/485, and I put I embedded the video into that show page. And so you can also listen to the show we did with attorney T. Matthew Phillips, who's suing the state of California over SB 277, which, by the way, a lot of people don't realize this. The state of California and the California Republic are all three different legal entities. A lot of people don't realize that. And the way they control, have jurisdiction over land masses is through the zip code. So this, something that I didn't learn in school, because if they taught you in school how to be fully, let's see, how do I put this? If they taught you in school how to be fully cognizant, open, and aware and self-reliant, there would be no more schools left. There would be no sheep that would need to be continually taught about how to integrate into a sick society. So those are my thoughts about school systems. But anyway, all that to say, it's so rad because now you can go, if you want to go to drericz.com and learn and join his membership all about essential oils, you can do that. You could take courses on herbalism, you can take courses on home remedies, you can take courses on all kinds of really cool stuff online. And I just think that I really think that things like that are, how do I say this best? The ability for people to do and take care of themselves on multiple levels is a very sovereign act, and it's a very rebellious act. So if you can learn how to grow your own food, if you can learn how to grow your own vegetables, if you can learn how to procure your own meat, which is hunting, if you do eat meat, if you don't, that's cool too. But if it's, the point still remains, if you can be able to be self-reliant to the extent that you're able to gain your own food and sustenance and water, and then if you're able to make herbal medicines and learn about things like essential oils and home remedies, and you're able to take care of yourself in a way that helps sustain your family and helps not just keep your family alive, it helps your family thrive. If you're able to learn about how the body works, if you're able to take care of yourself, and that means physically, learning some type of martial art or some way of defending yourself. Maybe it means getting a gun. To some people, I know that's a very volatile issue. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you eat meat, if you have guns, if you don't have guns. None of that matters. The point remains is that if you're able to take care of yourself, and you can define that however you like. If that means getting a gun for you, that's awesome. If it means learning martial arts, that's awesome. However that applies to your life and to your philosophical sort of ideas about life. But the idea is, if the more self-reliant everybody is, the less reliant on governmental programs that they become. So the government's job is to constantly browbeat you into believing that not only do they have the best options for you and the best solutions for your problems, but how should I say this? But these things are required. And so they need to keep themselves in business, right? So the way they do that is by offering you all of these amazing benefits and privileges of living in an upside down society. So that means they give you the ability to use paper currency. And the money system, as you all know, is a fake, fictitious system. And it's dominated by ones and zeros and digital currencies. And so when they can teach you that you need to have these dollar bills to be able to barter and trade with people, then they are involved in every single transaction of every person. And the same way, they give you other benefits and privileges, like being able to go to a hospital, getting a social security number, having a birth certificate, which allows you to do commerce in the public in the United States of America. And also, the United States of America, and America are three different legal entities too. So whenever you hear someone say, oh, the civil rights, by the way, are a benefit and privilege, they can be taken away at any time. So we don't want civil rights, we want our human rights, right? So these rights are given to us by God himself and not by our governments. And so anyway, the idea, though, is that if you're able to take care of yourself and not be reliant on the government for your very life and your very sustenance and survival, if you're able to do that, it's a revolutionary act. You know, growing your own food is as much of a protest against the tyranny of the government as marching down a street holding a sign or holding a banner, right? So it's really important to this is what I tell people. It's really important to have on your mindset a goal of becoming a certain way. So for me, that looks like, you know, it's on a lot of, you know, different levels. I'm constantly working at lowering my sugar levels, right? Constantly working at being aware of the amount of sugar and carbohydrates I'm consuming. And I'm moving in a direction that facilitates getting off of sugar. Now, it could be something that happens 5 years from now, 1 year from now. It doesn't matter. I'm constantly aware of that. And so I'm constantly trying to learn, as you guys are too, listening to this kind of stuff, how to become more self-reliant and how to take care of yourselves. And so that's the thing is what I was talking about, is that, you know, don't wait until you're sick. Don't wait until your body breaks down. In Chinese medicine, they call that, what do they call that? They call that, oh gosh, I forget. There's a certain name for that. For if you're listening, you probably know what I'm talking about. But there's an actual name for like emergency medicine and having to take something for something. The idea behind Chinese medicine and all alternative health therapies is to live a life where you don't need those things, and you involve the medicine into your life, or you include the medicine into your life on a daily basis, so that, you know, you're constantly consuming medicine. And, you know, mankind cannot live without medicine. We're going to get it one way or the other, right? We're going to get medicine. It's just a matter of, you know, in what form, because you're not going to live a thriving, abundant life without medicine. And so what's happening in our current food supply is that, I don't know. See, this is kind of gets conspiratorial, but, you know, there's a possibility that they are knowingly breeding out the medicines, and those are called plant alkaloids and the bitter natures of plants. And these are the phytochemicals that help heal us. They're actually poisons, but when they are buffered by the other minerals and compounds in the food, the phytonutrients in the food, and small amounts, you can take them on a daily basis, and that's called a tonic. And so when these are selectively bred out of our fruits and vegetables, you have hybridized fruit and you have hybridized vegetables. And these are vegetables that you would never find in the wild. Why? Because they're too genetically weak. They can't sustain themselves. They can't live in the wild because they've contained too much sugar. They don't contain the alkaloids. They don't have the components in their immune system that helps them to resist predation, right? So they can't resist the funguses. They can't resist the fruit flies. They can't resist the molds and the yeasts and the predators that are going to come and take them. They can't resist the cold and harsh weather patterns, right? So they're just too weak. So they have to be constantly propped up by fertilizers, by spraying pesticides, by being sort of walled off from the elements in greenhouses, or fenced off from predators in a farm area. And the soils that they're being grown on are horrifically depleted in minerals. So they're just not healthy plants, right? So you have all of this food, this conventional food that's not wild, that's given to us, that's had all of the alkaloids and all the medicines bred out of them, right? So now these foods that we're consuming contain incredible amounts of sugar, very low minerals, and almost no alkaloids. Those are the plant bitters. But they taste amazing and they taste great, right? So we become addicted to these foods. They're sort of like I would say the natural versions of probably like just processed food, right? They're just the natural versions of processed food. So these foods that we're consuming have no medicine. And so what happens is that the pharmaceutical companies understand this, and then they go back to the plant world and isolate and synthesize those very medicines they took away from you, and then they sell them back to you in the form of pharmaceutical pills and medications that are devoid of their buffering compounds and alkaloids. So now you have highly concentrated synthesized medicine in the form of pharmaceutical chemicals that damage the body, because you were never meant to take that much of a particular alkaloid that is isolated, right? Those alkaloids should be contain buffering compounds and buffering phytonutrients and chemicals that are inside the plant to go along with them, but they strip all of that away and then make this in a chemical laboratory and then sell it back to you because you're sick because you consume the food that has no medicine in it to begin with. So that's the problem, right? So when we're raised and we continually eat processed foods, obviously are going to damage our health over time for sure. But then if you constantly eat even just hybridized food and not wild food, you're going to eventually run into situations where you have no medicine. And so that's on the forefront of my mind too. How do I include more wild foods in your diet? If you're at the grocery store, 2 wild foods that they haven't been able to hybridize yet are Brazil nuts and seaweed. So those are great choices of including these types of foods back into your diet, Brazil nuts and seaweed. But when you live a life that contains no medicine, at the end of your life, you're going to need and require medicine in some form or another in order to live, because you've been so genetically degened. You have degenerative chronic diseases now because man is living with no medicine. And so these plant extracts, essential oils, are medicine. They are medicine, which are almost diametrically opposite to homeopathy. Homeopathy is medicine as well, but that works more on an energetic level. That is, if you understand homeopathy, it works more on like a vibrational level where you continually dilute, the medicine in water and shake it up. And eventually there's no physical component of the medicine in that water left. But only the energetic vibrational frequency patterns exist within the water. And that's what your cells talk to anyway. And so, homeopathy is sort of on the opposite spectrum as essential oils, but it's my contention that we really need to learn about homeopathy. We need to learn about essential oils. We need to learn about, herbs and herbal medicines and how to make infusions and how to make, 2 powerful teas that you can start consuming, very soon. Almost immediately. You can buy these actually through Mountain Rose Herbs, and they're at the bottom of our website. We just placed an order today for some reishi and chaga mushrooms. And so you can start, integrating these ancient plant medicines into your life by buying some herbal medicines, right? Some loose leaf teas, some teas, and start making infusions. And an infusion is like taking a bunch of like maybe nettle root or comfrey or something like that, linden flower, and you can fill up 1 ounce by weight, your mason jar, 1 ounce by weight of these types of herbs in a mason jar, and that usually comes to like a half a mason jar full of this plant material. And then you can just throw your boiling water over the top of that, and then let that sit overnight and just infuse, and then you strain it off, and that's your tea in the morning. And then also with chaga and reishi, you can start making your teas that way. Not necessarily infusions don't work with more of the, what is the right word for that? It's more like a bark, thicker substance. And so those you just boil, but starting to integrate these things into your life. And then once you start doing that, you realize, dude, there's levels to this. Like I could start doing 3 or 4 water extracts and herbal teas of chaga. And then after no more medicines coming out, then I can dilute that, and I can cut up the chaga in tiny little pieces and throw some organic grape alcohol or 80 proof vodka over the top of that and make a tincture. So there's levels to this for sure. But the first level is just starting to learn about why you need these things and why they help and how they can help you. So the first step is just a learning process, right? Of learning why we should care. I don't want to be like everyone else I see. You see other people, and they're just sick. They look, their bodies don't work right. They're overweight. They can't run. They can't jump. They can't, they don't have any passion in their lives. They're chronically ill. They're sick. And, I don't want to be like that. That's not where I want to go. And if I want to be like that, all I have to do it's oh gosh, I don't even know how to explain this. It's just so easy, because all you have to do in order to be like what everybody else is doing is just let the current take you. It's like you're sitting in a raft floating down the river, and you don't have to do anything. You don't have, in order to be like everyone else, which is 1 out of 2 people get diagnosed with cancer. I think it's 1 out of every 2 men and 1 out of every 3 women get a diagnosis of a cancer. In order to, get that diagnosis and be like everybody else, you don't have to do anything. It's really easy. You just don't have to do anything. You just eat what everybody else eats. Stop at the fast food place on your way home, and you'll be like everybody else. So what I'm constantly trying to figure out is, how can I become someone who's abundantly energetic and vibrant? How can I become somebody who affects change in the world? How can I live my greatest potential? I constantly pray this, and I say, God, if you're, each person, I believe, has a genetic and human potential that they should reach, right? And maybe your mission on earth is to, to be the greatest salesperson, or to be, which is a great book, by the way, is to be the greatest, this, that, or the other, or, each person has a potential that they're here to fulfill. And if we're all supposed to be a level 10 of that, I compare it to like maybe basketball. Like the average basketball player in the NBA, if they become the best basketball player they could ever be, they would be, orders of magnitude lesser than someone like Michael Jordan, right? Or Magic Johnson. They're just not going to be as good. But Magic Johnson, had he not worked as hard as he did, he would be average. But he had the potential to be as good as he was because he worked hard. And, you can't be as good as Magic Johnson, and I can't be as good as Magic Johnson, but whatever we're supposed to be, I feel like it's our duty to be that. And so I constantly pray and just say, God, help me to be the fullest expression and version of myself I'm supposed to be in this life. Because that's what we're supposed to be. And does that mean I mess up? Of course. I mess up every single day. Does that mean I get upset and angry? Of course I get upset and angry. Does that mean that I'm perfect and I never mess up on my diet? Of course, we're all human, but that's the sort of direction that's in the back of my mind. And so, we can't hold ourselves too strictly to it, but we have to understand is that, we're on a different path and we're on a different mission. And we, the building blocks that make up our life and the philosophical foundation of who we want to be in this world is it's completely different than the average person. And so we're moving in a different direction. We're trying to figure out, how can we be the best versions of human beings we could be? How can I help the most amount of people? How can I help wake people up to see that they have power over their own lives? That's what our mission is. But then the guy down the street, he's just worried about how he can get his next beer or how he can get his next, joint or cigarette. That's completely different, So we have higher standards, but at the same time, it's important to realize, we're just human. We're trying our best. And, but as long as in our heart of hearts, we're moving in the right direction, that's what I think is most important. And so what that comes down to is not relegating complete sections of our life to other people. So that means not outsourcing our healthcare to getting health insurance, or not outsourcing our education to the school system, or not outsourcing our work ethic to, people you can hire to do the work for you. Or, I'm thinking that in every area of our lives, we have to be the fullest version of ourselves. And so, that requires education, constant education, learning about new things, being on the path, trying these things that we're learning in our own lives so that we can see if we like them or don't like them, or if we want to learn more about them or whatever. And so that starts with, in my opinion, health. Because if you don't have your health, well, what do you have? If you don't have your health, how are you going to be able to, if your thing is politics, or if your whole, thing is raising kids, or if your whole thing is, being a salesperson, or if your whole thing is baseball or whatever it is, if you don't have your health, you're not going to be doing those things, and if you do, you're not going to be doing them well. So being vibrant and energetic is, part of our genetic blueprint. That's our destiny. It's something that we have naturally. And so we need to learn how to reclaim that. And so you're not going to get this in school systems. You're not going to get this, you take a nutrition course in school. You're not going to get this stuff there. They're just not going to teach you this stuff because you can't teach people how to become self-reliant, because if they become that way, then they don't need you anymore. They don't need to go to school because they can learn all this stuff on their own. They don't need, your benefits and privileges if they can generate this stuff on their own. People that are happy and people that are healthy and fulfilled aren't up at 3 a.m, 2 a.m, buying infomercial products because they're not happy. It's just, that doesn't happen. Right? So, I think education is so important. And, but if you were to put me in a class, like a high school class or a college curriculum right now, I do not fit that model of education at all. But do I love researching on the internet? Do I love watching documentaries and reading books and talking to people who are interesting, listening to podcasts and radio shows, learning about how the world really works? Of course. And that's where we need to be is getting our information, our news, from alternative sources. And that's why I love doing the work that we do here. And I hope you guys listen to other podcasts as well. There's a lot of awesome podcasts out there. And I think it's important that you go and you learn from other people as well. And if you like their podcast better, keep learning, keep supporting, people that you like that are putting out this information. Donate, some of your efforts or share their shows with your friends. Help get the word out. There's no competition in my mind with this podcast and other podcasts. There's a lot of awesome podcasts out there, a lot of awesome places where you can go and get educational materials. And I highly encourage you to do that. And so I think that's where the true power comes from. But right now we're in this sort of weird in-between place where we're so busy in our daily lives, taking care of kids, running kids to school, running errands, taking care of our own work and job responsibilities and relationships. And, if you're in college, you're doing homework and you're bombarded, your schedule's overloaded. So we're in this weird area where we haven't fully moved away from regular media yet and reliance on the government, but we see sort of the light at the end of the tunnel. We understand there's other options out there. So we're in this in-between area that's a little bit gray where we're trying to balance a life of an internal quest for greatness and an internal quest for becoming the best versions of ourselves by learning and education and putting things into practice, while at the same time trying to hold a job down. At the same time, we're trying to, get good grades in college because we need a degree for this, that, or the other. So it's just this weird time in life and in our culture, I think. And, but I think if you can foster the ability to gain information and a love for learning, in whatever form that comes in, then you're stoked. Then you're just, then all things are possible. So, so all that to say, it is awesome that you can now, in 2016, sign up for a specialized membership website about essential oils, Dr. Eric Z's website. I'll put a link to it on this show page, extremehealthradio.com. Let me get the link here. I think it's 488. Yeah, 488. I'll put the link to it. All you got to remember is the number 488 at the end of our website, and you'll find it. But it's just so awesome that you can have access to a membership like that and learn such specialized information. Because even if they offered an essential oils class in school, you wouldn't be able to integrate, and they wouldn't teach you the cutting edge information. So we live in an awesome time, man. Take advantage of it. Start researching on YouTube. Start joining membership sites. Start, taking courses online, man. Really get into it. I think it's, I think it's a very challenging time for the government because they're constantly tightening the grips and forcing people to contract with them in private contracts, which is essentially illegal. But that's why, if Medicare and, not Medicare, but if the healthcare situation, if Obamacare were so good, why are they forcing people to buy it? If healthcare really worked, why are they making it a mandatory law that every person needs to have it, right? If it really worked. if it really worked, people would sign up willingly and voluntarily, right? So the government and corporations are backpedaling to the extent that they're trying to figure out ways to stay in this game, because it's really important for every person, in their mind at least, to be consuming their products, their drama, their news, their propaganda, and their services and widgets. It's very important to them. So they're understanding now that people are taking online courses and learning stuff and getting certificates and not going to college and starting online businesses and helping people. And never before in the history of the world has someone been able to gain an audience in and of themselves and to be able to sell directly to those people. In the past, you would have to join a corporation who had access to their own customers, and then you had to help the corporation make money by being a part of the corporation and selling their products to the customers. Well, now you can have your own customers. You can start an online business. You can start your own whatever you want online and start interacting with your customers directly. So the government knows this, right? Corporations know this. And so it's very much a time where they are trying to hold on. And by the very nature of school systems, once they put up a brick wall and building, they're antiquated because they can't keep up with the cutting edge research. Then you have to have all these bureaucracies involved in the school system in order to keep the thing going, because you got to pay teachers, you got to pay land taxes, you got to pay for the building, you got all these expenses. It just immediately becomes antiquated as soon as a building structure gets thrown up. And the same with government too. So they understand what's going on and they're worried for sure. Otherwise, why would they be tapping everything that we're, doing? Why would they be spying on us? Why would they be making healthcare mandatory? Why would they, be enacting hundreds of laws every single year, if it weren't for the very fact that they're worried? So now, instead of creating a better option so people have better benefits and privileges, they're starting to just say, all right, well, if you don't follow this brand new law that we just created this year, then you're going to go to jail. So you can look at what they're doing and say, you know what, they are worried. And so I say to us, to everybody, is that we all should make them worry even more. Start taking our own health, our life, every aspect of your life, your relationships, your business, your finances, get out of debt, spend as much time as you can to learn how to get out of debt. That's something we're working on as a business and just ourselves, getting out of debt, getting out of the clutches of usury and taxes and all of that stuff, and shoring up every area of your life, your relationships, your spiritual practice, your spiritual walk, your health, your family, your business, your finances, your relationships, every aspect of your life. Make it so that it's sort of bulletproof. And that's what, is true self-empowerment and self-reliance looks like. And so, for me, I'm really interested in things like one of the things I want to do one day, and I feel it's weird. I feel like it's important, but I feel like one day I'll get into hunting. I have such a deep connection with animals, and I hate to do it, but I just feel called in that direction. So who knows? Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll take Daniel Vitalis up and call him up and go hunting in Maine with him, or who knows? But it's the very fact of self-reliance, and I feel called to try plant medicines, ayahuasca, DMT, things like that, expanding your consciousness, growing in my relationship with God and learning martial arts. I took jiu-jitsu for a couple years, about, 4 years, 3 years, and learning self-defense is critical. I want to learn how to shoot a gun and just become more self-reliant. And I hope that our journey, sharing this information with you guys, will help spur you guys on. And we're all on different levels, right? Some people listening to this may be experts in every one of those areas, but not so much with health. And so we can all help each other along, inspire each other to become more self-reliant, inspire each other to take care of ourselves and make this world a better place, So ultimately, that's what it's all about, right? So go over to extremehealthradio.com/485, and you can watch the 5-hour interview with John Taylor Gatto, as well as listen to the interview we did with T. Matthew Phillips about suing the state of California over SB 277. 485 is that show. This show is 488. And so if you want to check out any of the links on this page, you can, or go over and check Dr. Z's membership website. All that's available at extremehealthradio.com/488. One of the things I want to let you guys know too is that in order for us to continue doing and putting out this information and talking with amazing guys like Dr. Eric Z, is your support in our store. And I really want to thank you guys for helping support the work that we do and by buying products from our store. The way our store works, if you're unfamiliar, is it's an affiliate store. So when you click to buy, you'll be taken off to a website that we have created a partnership with, and that's affiliate relationship. And when you purchase the products that we have carefully selected and hand vetted and researched for you, you'll help support the show. So we just added a the O3 Elite dual ozone generator from Promo Life. Check this thing out. This is going to teach you guys how to use ozone. And we did a show with Dr. Ed McCabe. He's not a doctor, is he? Ed McCabe from Flood Your Body with Oxygen. And when you start learning the power of ozone and oxygen therapies, talk about a way of, like, if you want to be able to take care of your family and to be able to knock out colds and sicknesses and flus and all kinds of stuff, look into, I can't make any claims, obviously, but look into this dual ozone generator from O3. It's O3 Elite. But we also put in there like the Soul CBD oils. If you guys are familiar with the cannabis plant, we did a show, episode 424 with, oh gosh, what is his name? What's the name of the guy? Rick Simpson. And he's using cannabis oil. How do I say this? It's very important to future-proof language because they're starting to trademark words and to make words into legal, enforceable language. So, Rick Simpson, if you haven't watched the documentary Run from the Cure, we did a show, episode 424 with him. He uses, all I'll say is this, is that he uses cannabis on people with cancer. I can't say anything more than that. But so these Soul CBD oils are put together by a good friend of ours from Be Well Buzz, Larry Ostrowski, and I've been following his work for some time, and I'm super, super excited to be able to finally offer these on our website. It's really cool. They're the most powerful CBD oils. And by the way, if you're wondering, CBD is the non-psychoactive component of the cannabis plant. So it doesn't make you high at all. It's legal in all 50 states. It's the THC that's an issue. Or what the government says is an issue. It's a plant that grows out of the ground. I don't understand how that plant is going to, But if you make cannabis, it's the most powerful plant in the world. And if you legalize cannabis for full use, not just companies, but entire industries would crumble. Because it has over 5,000, the cannabis plant has over 5,000 commercial uses that are non-medicinal. And if you count the medicinal uses of cannabis, I mean, this can put to death entire industries. So anyway, the Soul CBD oils. Then we have the Sacred Seed oils from Andreas Sacred Seed Oils. We did a whole show with Stephen Huer from Synergistic Nutrition. That allows for oxygen to be delivered into the cell, the center of the cell. And if you've done any research on black cumin seed oil, they have done multiple studies on that with cancer. And I invite you to do some research. And then listen to the show we've done with Stephen here and consider buying some of those sacred seed oils. They have sunflower seed oil, black cumin seed oil, all flax oil, all kinds of really amazing oils that are stone ground in a proprietary way that causes zero oxidation. And it's all stone cold pressed, and it's a unique way that they're doing it. So anyway, in our store, we have the organic beds. We have EMF protection. One of the favorite products I like lately is the rapid release technology. I've been using this over my whole body every single day. I do it to tighten facial muscles. I do it to massage internal organs. I do it to release trigger points and release knots and tension. I do it like right now. I'm standing at a standing desk recording this, so my knees are starting to hurt a little bit. So I'll go after this and use this over my joints to what I think it helps break down nanobacteria and bad calcium. which is causing our joints to be stiff as we get older. And so, but they market it as something that helps to release trigger points, and massage or chiropractors are using it. It's this tool, the rapid release technology, is the only thing that got me out of debilitating back pain. I was in June of 2016. I couldn't walk for like 2 weeks. I could, but it took me over an hour to go 30 feet from one room to another. Kate had to help me. Getting out of bed took 20 minutes because I couldn't stand up. It was so bad. And after a week, whereas normally I would be healed, I've done this 2 or 3 times since my initial back injury. And normally after a week, I'm significantly better. I may be like 30, 40, 50% better. After a week, I was worse. And it wasn't until a person came in, a local practitioner in our area, gave me a full treatment of this rapid release. I couldn't even lay down on my stomach because I wouldn't be able to get up. I was in so much pain, like a nerve issue that I had in my lower back. And so she did this technology on my back, standing up, and it's the only thing that got me. It completely changed the whole healing process. I can't recommend it enough. Anyway, all these cool tools, blenders, juicers, rebounders, saunas, they're all available in our store. Green juice powders, grounded bed sheets, all cool stuff. So your support when you go to our store and purchase and shop around and buy stuff, it really helps us. So we appreciate that. Also, I want to thank you too for all of your awesome support on Amazon. You guys are so cool. Thank you for your purchases on Amazon. When you click our Amazon link and go and make your purchase, every single time you make a purchase, if you think about the work we do, that helps to support the show. And that's a cool way to support our work without really donating or sharing or buying products from our store. If you're already going to buy products from Amazon, that helps a lot. So your constant support, you guys that are donating on Patreon, a couple bucks a month, or PayPal, you guys are just awesome. Thank you. You guys are awesome people, and I just feel so blessed to be doing this work and helping as many people as we can. So thank you for your support and thinking of us before you buy any sort of health gadgets. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I have to go out. I'm going to do my rebounding right now outside. I've been doing that, every day now. I do it for 30 minutes a day, and I do it in the sunshine, breathing fresh air, and it's just it's incredible. So I'm going to go do that and then do my sauna and do my Qigong outside. And the Qigong course, I think, is in our store too, if my memory's correct. But anyway, love you guys. And I will catch you guys on the next episode. Let us know if we can ever help. And let us know. We love you, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical